We are live. What is up, Giants Nation? It is Rob and Donald. This is Nerding Out Sports, and it is Victory Monday. Once again, the Giants are 2-0. Everything we've been saying for the first time since 2016. First time we've won in week one. First time we're 2-0. It feels great. 19-16 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Team came out. Wasn't pretty, wasn't perfect, but a W is a W. So anyone in the media who wants to call us the worst 2-0 team in football, you can suck it. Because us Giants fans, we've been waiting for a very long time to be saying this. And I'll take a win whenever we can get one. So, Donald, let's talk about special teams first, because they're the ones who got the game going right away. Carter Coughlin knocks out the opening kickoff, recovered by a rookie, Dane Belton, making his NFL debut, who we'll talk about a little bit as well in the later part of the show. But that set the tone for the game. Offense didn't really capitalize, but what did you think about the special teams as a whole yesterday?
Well, we've got two incredible legs, both Scottish. Dylan had a hell of a game. He was punting jackhammers that were going like 70 freaking yards. And Gano, who at this point is the best kicker in football. I don't think – and you can come at me if you want, but he's the best kicker in football as far as I'm concerned. Dude's automatic. He was our offense last year, and he was our offense last night. A 52-yard, 56-yard, no problem. Right through the middle of the posts. Dude is unbelievable. Also, special teams got a good forced fumble right in the very first play of the game. And that set the tempo. That set the Giants on its way.
Yeah, it was nice to see, because it's been a little while since we've gotten a fumble on a kickoff. I mean, we had one last week actually, but special teams was kind of shaky. Luca's in the chat. Very happy Victory Monday, everyone. Happy I can enjoy it too. Yeah, the Jets coming out with a surprise. What a comeback, by the way. It was at like 14 points with a minute and a half to go.
Wild.
And that is, I did not see that come, but thank you for popping in, Luca. And also, you can check out Donald, Luca, and Alex on the Boys in the Big Apple podcast later on tonight at around 8:10 p.m. Do I got that time correct? So you can check them guys out at Big Blue in the Bronx channel, Boys in the Big Apple podcast. But back to the Giants, because that's what we're here to talk about today, right? Special teams was great, I think. We got a good kicker, a great kicker, and Jamie Gillen. You're Scottish, so you got to stand up and represent there.
Represent.
They're doing the job for you, and it's nice to have so far a pretty good pair, because we've been suffering from some bad punters in the last few years. Riley Dixon, Brad Wing, Steve Weatherford kind of dropped off towards the end of his Giant career. Before him was Matt Dodge, so it's been a little shaky. Now, special teams overall, they gave up, I think, one big return, but overall they didn't do any damage. Not like last week that set up the Titans for a touchdown right away. So overall, I'm happy with the special teams.
What a hit by Carter Coughlin.
Yeah, big time hit.
Vicious hit.
It was nice to see them. So not really much else to say about special teams, right? Graham Gano's automatic. Jamie Gillen punting missiles. Special teams hitting like monsters. Not giving up too many yards in the return game. Overall good, which leads us to the defense, because Dane Belton, who had the
we can give an A+ to special teams.
Absolutely.
Forced fumble. Every punt was massive, and every kick was just our entire offense. So, I'm giving A+ to our special teams.
He went 4 for 4 on field goals yesterday, and if not for Graham Gano, we don't win the game. So 100%. Thank you very much. So defensively, because Dane Belton played very, very well in his first ever game, and he played a lot, I think about 76% of the snaps, and a lot of those snaps allowed McKinney and Love to drop down and play in the box yesterday. And I think McKinney played all but maybe 1 or 2 snaps in the box, which is something that I was talking about in the pregame that I wanted to see a little bit of to help get some coverage that our linebackers can't do. What'd you think about that?
He was our de facto inside linebacker. And he shut down McCaffrey in the receiving game. McCaffrey only had a couple of catches, but it didn't do any damage whatsoever. That's the biggest compliment I could possibly pay to McKinney, man. He shut down their greatest asset, because I felt that Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, J.D. Davidson, these kind of dudes would reasonably hold McCaffrey in the run game. I was mostly concerned. He was always going to break one or two, but that was really going to be it. I felt pretty comfortable with the run game. It was the receiving game, especially with Aaron Robinson out, so there was going to be some coverage issues, but McKinney shut that down completely and didn't allow McCaffrey to be a threat out in the flat. So full credit.
Yeah, I think McCaffrey had the 49-yard run, but other than that, he was kind of held in check. I think if you take that run away, which obviously it's on the stat sheet, but if you take that run away, he had 14 or 15 carries for about 50 yards or so. They didn't let him beat them, and that's what we talked about again in the pregame. How do you beat a run-first team? Stop the run. It's a pretty simple concept, and you make the quarterback have to beat you. Baker Mayfield wasn't able to do that. Our defense was able to generate some pressure, not a ton. We had 2 sacks on the day. O'Shea Jimenez played another really good game, back-to-back. And I just want to say something, because you said this, that he was a scheme fit. I didn't really agree with it, but I saw what you were saying. Somebody on Twitter attacked you for that. I don't know who his name was, but another DX chops for that guy who was wrong.
That's right. Also, Alex, who's going to come on soon, he was really down on Jimenez, and I was pretty confident that he was going to be a nice fit. But did I expect him to be this good? No, I don't think anyone did. He's playing at a different level right now. He's been balling out, man.
Yeah, he has, and this is from Fireside Giants on Empire Sports Media. On the season, he's got 5 pressures, a sack and a half, 2 quarterback hits, 2 hurries, 1 batted pass, 3 defensive stops, and 3 tackles. So without Thibodeau, without Ojulari, O'Shea Jimenez is playing like a number 1 edge rusher right now.
Exactly. See, if Thibodeau had those numbers or Ojulari had those numbers, we would be fainting right now going, we are set. It's the fact that it's our number 3 pass rusher and a dude that we were talking about being a cut candidate that's doing that. You have to hand it to him. You have to hand it to the coaching staff as well. I think the coaching staff has found something in him that I don't think a lot of us saw.
We saw it in his rookie year, and I brought that up because he was really good. And then I saw it again in 2020, but he got hurt. His first couple of games, he was playing really well, and he looked like he was out for a breakout year, but he got hurt, and that really slowed him down last year because he was not good at all last year. And I had many people thinking he's going to be on the chopping block, but they kept him. And credit to people like you who stuck with him. Credit to Wink Martindale for finding a way to use him, because he has been great so far. Wink, we love you. So far, so good, because, yeah, the secondary got beat a little bit, but we kept holding them, except for that one drive. We kept holding them. Now, we got to get better, because some of the good teams will turn some of those field goal drives into touchdowns, but it's all a learning process. The fact that we're 2-0, and the fact that we're holding teams to 16 points without like 3 of our top guys on the defense is pretty impressive. And we lost Leonard Williams halfway in the game, so I'm hoping he's okay, because he was playing really well before going down, along with Dexter Lawrence, who was having a really good game. He had 4 pressures.
He's having a really good start to the year, Dexter Lawrence.
He's looking fierce, and he's already got 6 pressures on the season. 4 of them came yesterday. So he's generating some pressure as well, so we can only imagine what it's going to be like when we do get Kayvon Thibodeau, possibly Monday night, and Azeez Ojulari. Who knows when that's going to be? Maybe Monday as well. Could be week 4, but defense looking pretty good, even without Aaron Robinson. Adoree Jackson held it down again. And Cordell Flott actually got the start as the cornerback, too. He did get beat a couple of times, but as to be expected, he was against DJ Moore. But
well, he got benched. I'm not high on Flott. I think Flott was toast, especially for the touchdown that DJ Moore had. I think I think that was Flott's job, and Flott got lost a little bit. He got lost on a couple of occasions. Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with Flott, my personal opinion.
Yeah, he's a slot, Flott in the slot. That's what we've been saying.
Well, he was playing outside, and he
Yeah.
maybe he needs to go into the slot because Flott outside is too small.
They kind of had no other options. So I was thinking maybe they put Julian Love out there, but they kept him in the box. So it was either Holmes, who's so far off to kind of a iffy start these first couple of weeks, or they tried Flott out there. I think now we'll see more Flott playing that slot, that nickel corner, and then Darnay Holmes will maybe do some outside, but maybe they'll rotate the two of them in there. When we
Holmes
get
in coverage has been worrying me. He's struggling to keep up with receivers,
and he's holding.
But yeah, a lot of holding. However, he got one huge freaking hit, and he made one or two key plays yesterday that definitely deserves a mention. Can I also mention Jihad Ward? He freaking killed it for me yesterday. I thought he played great.
No, he did. He had 3 tackles. He had some pressures as well. Didn't show up on the sack, the stat sheet for sacks or anything, but this is what people, when we first got Leonard Williams, and they're like, oh, he's not getting the sacks on the quarterback to consider him a top guy, but everything else was pointing that he was actually really good for us, which got him that big contract. So it's not always about the sack total. It's about, are you getting pressure? Are you forcing the guy out of the pocket, which can force an incompletion or a turnover? So far, Jihad Ward, O'Shane Jimenez, even Tamon Fox, these guys are doing the job for Wink's defense.
Well, I know that Wink Martindale loves Jihad Ward. Like, I think basically where Martindale goes, Ward comes with him. I can definitely see that because he plays exactly as Martindale likes to play. He's fast, aggressive, and powerful off the edge. And I thought he sealed off the run game too. I think he played a generally very, very good game at the linebacker spot.
Oh, he did. And the defense in general, maybe Cordell Flott aside and some plays with Darnay Holmes, it was a pretty solid game overall. I mean, really good game. Dory Jackson, yeah. Dory Jackson's playing well. Dane Belton, I mentioned him earlier, had a really good game, and his safety play allowed them to use McKinney and Love in the box a lot. So I liked what I saw there from Dane Belton, his first game, coming back from the broken collarbone. I mean,
a lot of three safety looks yesterday.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, even when we do get some of the guys healthy. When Robinson comes back, we've already seen that Belton's pretty trusted. For him to play almost 80% of the snaps.
Yeah,
that shows a lot of trust in a guy in his first game.
Wink Martindale, man. I mean, what did he say last week? He said, if the fans bring it, make it loud, put Carolina in silent counts, we will take care of the rest. And boy, did they take care of the rest, because that was the loudest Giant Nation has been in years. Say that now. I've not heard MetLife like that. There was the place was full, and it was all blue jerseys, which I love. There was no opposition fans. There was all Giant fans. They were loud. They were proud, and Wink's defense took care of the rest. Man, they did go in silent count one or two times. They did get done on a couple of occasions. I believe that they had a couple of false starts at key points at the end of the game. And the Giants' defense was just relentless. And that's without our 2 best pass rushers and our number 2 corner. Have to say, phenomenal job, Wayne Martindale. He is just a boss. He is a boss.
He really is. And the play that really stood out, it was towards the end of the game, that sack by Julian Love. The blitz that he brought, he came in, shot through the line like a missile. And it was one of those blink and you miss it things that the crowd went nuts for that. And like you said, it was the loudest probably since 2016 when Odell took off for like 70 yards against Dallas to take the lead in that low scoring game. I mean, I don't think I've heard it that loud. And I don't know if anyone was there, that was there can tell me how loud it was compared to other games. But we haven't had much reasons to cheer for this team, even when you go to the game. That's why a lot of people would sell their tickets to the other fans' teams, and now people are going to want to go watch the Giants play because now you have reason to be optimistic. And I expect it to be even louder Monday night when Dallas comes in.
What do you think about the Dallas game?
Early thoughts. I saw Dallas's offense came out hot, and then they fizzled. And their defense was exhausted. And for whatever reason, the Bengals did not want to throw the ball very deep yesterday and probably could have won that game. I would like to think the Giants look at that and maybe try to do something to get that defense tired too. Maybe use a lot of Richie James, we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Maybe we'll see more Kadarius Toney. Will they use Kenny Golladay? Probably not, but
probably not.
Got to do whatever it takes to get them gassed and get them tired. And much like what we've been saying so far, make Cooper Rush have to beat you. Those are my early thoughts, and we'll talk about that obviously later in the week. But what about you? What are you thinking there?
Well, I mean, they surprised me beating the Bengals. I didn't have them beating the Bengals at all. So Cooper Rush is probably better than we give him credit for. I think he's probably going to be average. So it gives us a chance. The fact that it's not their number one quarterback's it's not their man Prescott, but still Cooper Rush is okay, and they've got two really good running threats, especially Pollard, and they've got CeeDee Lamb, who's a monster. So it's definitely not. It's definitely going to be difficult. But back to our game, let's get into the offense because it wasn't good for large parts.
It really wasn't, aside from the touchdown drive. First drive, obviously, we get the fumble on the kickoff. Daniel Jones takes over. The Giants gain like nothing, and they kick a field goal. Okay, free points because the game just started. Next drive, we get the 3-and-out, and then we're able to drive down the field. We get it inside the 5, and then they move backwards. They take Saquon.
Well, the second game, remember, it was the turnover. So we actually had two turnovers
I think the turnover came like a drive or two after because we made them punt when it was 3-0. I'm pretty sure we made them punt on their first drive, their first official drive, and then we drove down the field. We got it inside the 5. Maybe you're right. I got to relook at that.
No, it was back-to-back turnovers. And once again, Daniel Jones failed to do anything in the first two times he had the ball.
You are right. Okay, you're correct. Yeah.
So it wasn't a good start. Daniel Jones ran into a couple of sacks, I thought, but also again more problems from Azudu left guard. Feliciano didn't have a great day in terms of pass blocking. Azudu definitely had a bad day with pass blocking. Bredesen was better than Azudu. He made a couple of key blocks, especially at the end to allow Saquon to run through. They stacked the box on Saquon and they said to Daniel Jones, beat us. And Daniel Jones was unable to do so for about 3 quarters. He looked kind of lost. But he made the key play at the end, that running play where he lost balance but regained it. Really good vision up ahead and ran up and got the first down. Good blocking by Feliciano as well to allow him to do so. That won us the game because a first down and then that was it. So I'll give him credit for that. And he had one good drive. Obviously the touchdown pass. That was his best drive. He didn't really do much else other than that. He kind of chose the safe option. A couple of checkdowns, a couple of overthrows. He was very lucky not to get done in a pick 6 at the end of the first half. Very fortunate. But I guess if you want to give him flowers, he didn't turn the ball over and he game managed. You know what I mean? He didn't do anything stupendously stupid, and we win the game. So I think the proof is in the pudding, man. Don't turn the ball over and get that ball to Saquon as best you can. and Shepard and Tony. I think Tony had a couple of moments, but get it to those playmakers, and there's a good chance that you can make things happen. So, hey, Jones wasn't good, but he did enough. Just
Right. Tony had one big catch that would have set us up for some points, I think maybe towards the end of the first half, but it got called back.
That's right. That was annoying.
Shepard had 6 receptions for 34 yards. That is very short throws. He had that 1 4-yard reception, and it was like I said, after the second fumble, they were moving and they got it inside the 5. They take Saquon off the field. DJ is a game manager. Yep, piss you off with the bad plays and make the good ones to get you to win a game. He did yesterday. More times than not, he has not made that play though. More times
in the fourth quarter, he was so strange because he would. I think he had like 3 overthrows, and you're like, oh my god, dude's terrible. And then nailed an absolute beautiful throw, and you're like, oh, so he does have it. And that's just kind of what he does. He's like, for like 75% of the time, you're like, oh, what is wrong with this guy? And then 25% of the time, he's like, this guy's awesome. So it's maddening, really.
I really wish, like I said it earlier, I think two episodes ago, I just wish we could find the middle ground with him because we're not going to have him pass this year. I think them declining the 5th-year option guarantees that unless he completely balls out and forces you to bring him back. You just need him to be in the middle. And if yesterday was leaning towards the middle ground with Daniel Jones where he was a game manager, didn't turn the ball over, he could have, but he didn't, and he made enough plays to help you win the game, you have to take it right now, especially when you're transitioning into a new regime and you're going to probably have the new quarterback starting next year. The most we can hope for with Daniel Jones is just get that middle ground, keep the ball in your hands, don't give it to the other team, and do enough to help us win the game. Yesterday was literally an example of that. I don't know if you have your notes from last week, but didn't I not predict the stat line almost identically in terms of yards for Jones? I think I had him at 175.
I'll have to get that.
And he finished with 176. I saw that and I was kind of like, nice.
Well, yeah, I think you did a much better job than I did with the predictions this week. So we'll have to get into that. But yeah, I'll have to find the notes. But probably our next podcast we'll go through that. But yeah, I don't know where I stand with him right now. He is maddening. He is really maddening. One throw he looks terrible, then another throw he looks like a competent quarterback. So
yeah, the play to Bellinger was great. Like I loved really that play. It was perfect play call. But finish your point there. My bad for cutting you off.
No, you're right. That was a perfect play call. Really good awareness of the pocket, and it was he found him in plenty of space, and he got the touchdown. So yeah, that was a great play. And as I say, the awareness to get that first down right at the end, the 2-minute mark was probably for me is the best play of the game. Like that was very difficult, and he did so well with that.
And we've seen him have a knack for doing that too. Kind of almost, what was it, 2 years ago? We had that big spin out of a fourth down run against the Rams, but we couldn't finish off the drive. And he's done that plenty of times where he gets the big play and you're like, we're going to do it, and they just can't finish off the drive. Yesterday, all we needed was a first down. It looked like it was about to be bleak. He got the first down and turned it into the game-winning run. So so far, he's done enough in these first 2 weeks to help us win games. He hasn't lost us a game. He could have very well lost the game last week, and maybe even this week had that ball been picked off at the end of the first half. But didn't happen, and he has done enough to help us win so far. That is more than I can ask for from Daniel Jones. Do I want to see more? Absolutely. Every Giants fan wants to see more out of the quarterback. But compared to what we got from him the last 2 years, game manager Daniel Jones, who's just doing enough, I'm fine with it. Now, if we're going to beat other teams, you're going to have to be better, like teams like Green Bay and Dallas and even Chicago.
I am worried, though. He has run into a couple of sacks where he's missed wide open, man. literally wide open, and it's like, you watch it again, and then even the announcers are sort of like, how did he miss that? It is concerning. Like, for me, I think he regressed this week as opposed to last week. I know that he had the 2 turnovers last week, but I felt that he made a couple more key plays last week than he did in this game. He looked a little lost. It was a little painful to watch him for large parts of this game. Definitely, I can name at least 2 occasions where he ran straight into where the pressure was and missed wide open men who had like 30, 40 yards on anybody else. So that was a big concern of mine. So I was hoping that he'd take a positive step this week than last week. I think he kind of regressed, but he got away with it.
Yeah, one positive that did come out of it was he seems to be finding a really quick, really good rapport with Richie James, who's becoming our number 1 receiver, because he had 5 receptions yesterday for 51 yards. I mean, Tony probably would have had a good amount had he not gotten that play called back with the penalty.
Yep.
But David Sills had 3 for 37. Tony was involved in a lot of plays, but wasn't really doing much in the stat sheet. Bellinger with 1 catch for 16. We involved Hudson a little bit. So Richie James, though, is kind of standing out as that number 1 guy right now for Daniel Jones.
Who would have thought it? That Richie James would be I guess it would be our number 1 or number 2 receiver, and not Golladay, who's completely lost at this point. What do you think about the fact that he was out and the locker was cleared out by the time?
Well, wasn't it Julian Love? Julian Love said that his locker was cleared out too, so I don't want to look too deep into that. I know some people are like freaking out, like he's a terrible player, he's a bum and all that. They're ranting about him. I don't want to do that because I felt like, well, everyone wanted him last year. I was ecstatic when we got him, and I'm not going to give up on a player just yet because last week we were complaining Tony didn't see the field enough, and this week he did. He saw the field a lot more. So Dable said we have sets for certain receivers, and he told Golladay before the game we're going to go with David Sills a lot today. Maybe they like the matchup better. Maybe they're kind of using analytics. This is baseball now, but maybe next week we'll see him more against Dallas. Who knows? We don't know what Dable's going to do because nothing has been predictable so far. If you would have told me Richie James is going to have the most receptions after 2 games, I said you're crazy. He's a kick returner. If you would have told me David Sills is going to out-receive Golladay yesterday, I would have said, you're crazy. David Sills is basically a practice squad guy, or he's going to be inactive. But here we are. So basically, it's Dable just saying, I don't care how much you make. I don't care what your name is. I'm going to use players who are going to help us. And if they can help us win, I'm going to use them. David Sills looked better yesterday than what we've seen from Golladay so far. So maybe, was it a message from Dable? I don't know. But until we know for sure, I'm not going to speculate. So if we see Golladay play more next week, then we know it was just a game decision that said we're going to go with Sills over Golladay. But if it keeps going, they can't move him, though. That's the thing. They can't trade him. They can't cut him. It doesn't help you financially. No one's taking his contract, and you can't cut him. So use him how you can. I just know we're not going to see a ton of him this year.
Yeah, you're right. I think the best point was that you said that Dable doesn't really care about the name in the back of your jersey, it's whether you can help us win games. And I think he's showing that right now, man. He's giving everybody a clean slate. He's giving everybody an opportunity. And but I also have to say, I think that if Golladay was the Golladay that we expect, and he would be our number 1 receiver, but I think it shows that where he is right now. I don't think coaching staff is high on him, because if they were, then he'd be getting more reps. He'd be getting more action out there, getting more snaps. He's an afterthought at this point. I mean, I think they clearly have Sills and Richie James ahead of him, and he's going to have to earn his spot, but that is a good thing. Let's see if he steps up. I don't think he will. I really don't think his ego is going to like this, and I don't see a happy marriage going on right now. But we'll see. But definitely Sills and Richie James far outplayed him. But that was also in the preseason too. I think he's kind of been going with who's a hot hand in preseason, and that's definitely been the case because again, Galladay was lost in the preseason, but Sills was awesome, and he had a really good rapport with Daniel Jones, and Richie James has been really good in preseason too, and so he's carried that on.
Yeah, Jones had some darts to Richie James yesterday, like some really good throws, and one of them I thought was getting picked off and ended up going into Richie James's hands. I was like, how the hell? Of all the throws for him to zip in there was to Richie James. So look, if it works, it works. You know, I went into this season thinking we're going to see a lot of Shepard, Galladay, Tony, but the fact that they're using different guys and different roles, and this is what a rebuilding team does. You're going to see something that works. So you take that and you go into next year with a new quarterback probably and maybe a different look at receivers, but you're seeing what's working and you see what skill set's going to fit your offense. Maybe Kenny Galladay's skill set, which is go up and get it, doesn't really fit this offense because that's really all he is. And if he's still coming back from another injury he had this offseason, what can he really provide you? But they did use him on like the 2 plays he was in. One of them was right before the touchdown to Bellinger, I think. He was in on that play, so that's almost a perfect time to use him in the red zone. Throw it up to him, and he'll probably be able to catch it. They didn't do it. We ended up scoring, but maybe that's his role on the team is if you're in the red zone, that's where we're going to bring you in more times than not. Because if he's playing hurt, what is he really going to offer you besides a jump ball guy?
You're right. He's very slow at getting past the corner. So he is just go up and get a guy. I think you're right. I think he's going to be used as a red zone guy from now on. Let's see, but I don't think that there's any chemistry between him and Jones. And I think the coaching staff is going with who Jones has a chemistry with. Jones has a really good chemistry with James, Sills, and also Sterling Shepard. Shepard's now stepped up as being our number one number one receiver, in my opinion.
For sure. I'm looking at Galladay's contract right now. Obviously, if they cut him this year, it'd be $31 million in dead cap. Next year, it's 14. Alex said, "Send me the link." You want to send it to him, or you want me to do it?
So you fire it off, man.
All right, I will send you the link in just a second, Alex. Donald, while I'm sending him that link, anything else you want to talk about with the offense?
Saquon. What I liked was that it was a dirty game. It was a gritty game. They stacked the box on him, but he stuck with it, and he didn't give up. And then he finally broke through, and got one big breakaway run when we were down 13-6 to set up the tying score, and he just hung with it, man. It was a tough defensive line. They have some really good edge guys, and he hung tight because there was a stacked box. There was not a lot of opportunities for him, but again, what I loved is that he just looks like a different. He looks like a different running back. He's not afraid of contact now. He's blasting through. What any opportunity he can find, he's happy to take an extra 2-3 yards, take the dirty yards. That's been a big complaint of mine. Why isn't Barkley taking the dirty yards? He's doing it this year. Dable and Kafka seem to be really doing good work with him. And Saquon is just on another level, man. I think we should be looking at if he continues like this, end of the year, I think we need to offer him a new contract. I think we should build around him.
At least they'll probably tag him if they can't, which is not a great thing, but it's at least getting him in for another year. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to look to bring him back because clearly he's a focal point of this offense. And they made that pretty clear from day one that they were going to use him and that he was a big part of their offensive plans. And people didn't really believe it, but I mean, right now we're seeing everything to make us believe that he is in their future plans. So they're going to need the money. They're going to have to free up the money. But the Jets fan here says he drinks Saquon. This is what you get for being a Jets fan. I thought he'd rush for over 100 yards. My prop bet was for his over 76 and a half. He hit 72. Well, thank you very much for jinxing our guy, Luca. And here comes your brother, by the way, Alex.
I'm pissed at him for that, I must say.
Fire off at your brother there, my friend. Welcome to the show.
I literally said it, but another victory Monday. Feels great. I've been thinking this over the last 24 plus hours. It's the Panthers. Yes, it is the Panthers. And listen, they're not as good as some of the teams we'll face, like the Ravens, like the Packers. But I don't want to harp back too much on the last 2 years as what we've done as a franchise. But everybody seemed to kind of defend Patrick Graham. Oh, well, he doesn't have the personnel. He doesn't have this. Well, guess what? Don Martindale is hosting one of the better rookie defenses in football. He's got less of an edge presence. He's got less of a linebacker presence, and he's got less of a cornerback presence. And we did this. We held Baker Mayfield, who everyone thought he's going to be an impact. They're going to make the playoffs. Well, guess what? We held him to, what was it, like 150, 160 yards or something like that. We went after him, a couple of times, 2 sacks, and people were saying, well, there was no pass rush. Yeah, there was a pass rush because people got there. All right. There are some, there's some stats that ESPN failed to record. They said 4 quarterback hits. There's a lot more than that because O'Shane Ximines, once again, constantly back there. McKinney got a couple of 145 passing yards. Yeah, exactly. But, a couple of guys we got back there. So what it's made me think in terms of, all this stuff is that Patrick Graham, and once again, not to harp too much on last year, is playing pretty much a simple defense. And people said, oh, he wanted to blitz and do stuff like that. Well, guess what? It's either on the coaching staff or his game plan because it was bend but don't break every single goddamn game. And now Wink with less edge presence, less talent overall. And guess what? We're getting home against these guys.
Exactly. Wink Martindale, he flat out brought it. I loved what he said. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I loved what he said when he's like, I want Giant Nation to get loud and force Carolina and the silent counts. You guys get loud and we will take care of the rest. I love that mentality. He's brought a dog mentality to this defense and a relentlessness. And they flat out brought it, man. Ximines was a monster. I thought Big Dex was a monster. I loved what Jihad Ward did. I thought Jihad Ward had a really good day. Even DJ Davidson had a quietly decent game too. I think, and of course, Xavier McKinney, who shut down McCaffrey. So many guys just really, and of course, Adoree Jackson, who just did not allow any catches at all. He was just shut down, man. He was like Adoree Island. Wink, it was a big day for Wink Martindale.
Rob, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Wink was fantastic. I mean, I loved what he did. It's like you mentioned, defense is not full right now. It's not full strength. We're missing our top 2 pass rushers. We're missing our number 2 corner. And we don't really have a middle linebacker that can cover. Yet we were able to hold Carolina to 16 points. And last year we gave up a lot more. Now, better teams will find a way to score touchdowns instead of field goals. But look, we can't harp on what could be. We can only talk about what we saw yesterday. And what we saw yesterday was a defense that was playing with heart for 60 minutes. They were not giving up those, like they looked like they were gassed and giving up big play after big play. It happened on one drive, but they were able to hold them. And it was a bend but don't break drive, but they held them and they were able to make the plays enough towards the end of the game to keep Carolina out of the end zone. We got a field goal. They tied it. Okay, not the end of the world. We needed to get a stop. What did we do? Julian Love blitzed like an absolute missile and rocked Baker Mayfield like I haven't seen a player hit a quarterback for the Giants in a long time. Big play. That's a winning mentality, and that's something that helps a team that's rebuilding get there. That's what helps them get this mentality that we can win when people don't think we can win. Because I don't care that we've won 2 games that are unorthodox or whatever. Oh, we won last week on a missed field goal. This week we could have lost if Jones had thrown a pick, whatever. No, we won. We lose these games last year. We lose these games the year before, and the year before. We're 2-0, and people are trying to find reasons why we should be 0-2. I don't want to hear it. Dude, this is a different team than last year. We're doing things differently, and I love the energy because when you're rebuilding, what do you want to see? Energy. And that's what we're getting right now. So I'm loving it. Wink Martindale's bringing it.
He really is.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Robin, I'm pretty sure Donald would agree. Then again, I don't know. I said on my podcast that I actually recorded before this. I'm 50-50 on Daniel Jones in the aspects. 50% of me is like, okay, you look at his stats, and he doesn't have the urgency to put up, like, the Giants to be up for 2 scores, okay?
Thanks, John Jules. Thanks for the comment, man.
You're not going to see, 28-14, Daniel Jones is up. Like, you're not going to see that, in my opinion. I don't think you will. But to counter that, and not that he doesn't need to get better, the other 50% of me says, I'm content with this because he's not Nathan Peterman. He's not giving away games, and we need wins. It's not like, this is year 3 for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is probably going to be gone next year. But at the same time, I'm content with what he's doing and what the offense is doing. Yes, improvements need to happen in that interior and all these other things. And I thought the play calling was a little suspect yesterday. But a little bit content with what he's doing because it's not losing us football games in the end.
Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier. He's very game manager-esque right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's enough to win you a game, I'll take it. Because like you just said, I don't expect him here next year. Unless he just from this point on balls out and he plays like a maniac that we've never seen from him before and forces your hand to say, we don't need a quarterback now, we got Daniel Jones. I don't see that happening. So unless that does happen, we're drafting a quarterback in some way next year. We're going to either have to move up or whatever it may be. We're probably going to have a new quarterback next year. But if Daniel Jones is just managing the game and not losing the game for us, which he has done several times already in his career, if he's just helping us win, which he did yesterday, he made enough plays to help us win, I'll take it because I'm not expecting him here next year.
Right.
I mean, Jones had maybe a handful of good plays, but for me, he regressed this week as opposed to last week. I know the turnovers were last week, but he just showed a little bit more last week. This week, he did struggle, especially missing wide open guys and running into sacks. That was a big problem with Jones again. But hey, he didn't turn the ball over, and we won the game. So yeah, he managed the game. He managed the game much better in the second half. There was, again, he really struggles right out of the gate. There's 2 weeks in a row now where he looks completely lost in the first half, but in the second half, he kind of settles down a little bit. I'm not overly high on Jones, but he's a weird one because he makes these phenomenal plays like he did in the fourth quarter, which won us the game in the last when we desperately needed a first down, and he ran and he got it. So, and of course the touchdown to Bellinger was fantastic. So he's got it in him. He's just a weird one. So Alex, go to you first of all. Who is your MVP of the game? Then who is your under the radar player of the game? And who was your biggest L of the game?
Wow. Okay. Shouts to MH, by the way. MVP of the game. Wow. Okay. See, that is a very tough question, and I'll explain why. And I'm gonna answer your question because I'm not a politician. But
Brian Cashman.
Yes, and oh my God. Which if we get backstage, I have to tell Rob a funny story. But anyway, it was a collaborative effort. That's why I have a tough time answering your question. It's definitely going to be, you know what? Collaborative on defense, Graham Gano. Graham Gano was my MVP yesterday.
Yeah. No
It
doubt.
does feel good, MH.
Who was your MVP, Rob?
It's got to be Graham Gano, right? His bionic leg that kicked the 56-yarder. He's fantastic. I love the guy. Yeah, he's a new Legatron, so it's got to be Graham Gano. What was the other one? Was it Under the Radar?
Under the Radar player of the game.
O'Shane, or I really liked what I saw from Julian Love, and I loved what I saw from Dane Belton, but I'll probably go Julian Love.
Decisions. Under the Radar. Frick, man. I want to either go with Dory Jackson or one of the interior guys, maybe even Leonard Williams, because Dory Jackson didn't allow a single catch. And then you got Leonard Williams, who exited the game early yesterday, but at the same time, he was causing a ruckus in that interior. He basically caused the O'Shane sack. Baker Mayfield does not step up. Leonard Williams has him in his arms. So I'm going to go slightly Adoree. Slightly. My elf of the game. Elf of the game. Damn. I'm going to go John Feliciano.
Yeah, he stunk. But so did Zudu.
He was less, in my opinion at least, and he had a couple of penalties, he was less noticeable. Like Glowinski too. Both of them have been disappointments this far. Like, listen, it's gonna take a couple games for these guys to gel and whatever. But like, there was one play, and maybe you guys know it by just fact, is that like, I think it was Breida. He got a carry to basically give Saquon a snap rest, and then Feliciano was moving to his right and trying to cut off the interior defender, and he just walked right by him, and Breida had a 4-yard loss.
So the biggest Alice with the interior O-line. -4 rushing for Barkley in the first half. Kept getting hit in the backfield. Yeah, you're spot on, man. As Alex said, Feliciano struggled. Although he did have a key block for Jones to set up that big run at the very end. But yeah, he struggled. Izudu really struggled. Bredesen for me outplayed Izudu. Glowinski, he didn't really stand out as anything necessarily good or bad. He just kind of average for me. Thomas was a monster on the left side, of course. Neal didn't do anything that had me overly concerned. For me, Jones really struggled with getting away from the right side of the interior O-line, though. That was a big problem, and obviously Feliciano too. So it was not good. It definitely was not good. So yeah, you probably has a good point there. Rob, who's your L?
My L? First, I want to answer MH's questions. How have you guys liked Holmes so far? He had a great rush off the edge yesterday. I've been kind of like torn because he's shown some good plays, and then he's been showing a lot of bad. And those holding calls that keep piling up at the wrong time with him. You never want to have a holding call defensively, but he seems to do it when you need him to not cause a penalty, and he's been doing that pretty much since he got in the league. So I'm like torn about him because I really want to like him, but I see so much that can be better. But then you see it's kind of like Daniel Jones. You see the flashes of being really good, and then you see like the really bad, and you're like, Jesus Christ, let's get off the field.
Right. And like that, you guys probably remember this one too, because it was a key play that when the defense stopped Carolina in the red zone on third, Shi Smith was open and he dropped the ball in the first quarter. Darnay Holmes was on him. He doesn't drop that ball, he's in for a walk-in touchdown. And, we could count the penalties and the pass interference and stuff like that. And yes, he did cause that fumble. That's a good point.
Did. It was a huge hit. You have to give him his flowers for that. It was a monster hit. Good point.
I remember it's just more if he ripped the ball out. Like the huge hit was, I think it was Carter Coughlin or something like that on special teams. But anyway, I have to give him flowers for that. But there's like, I guess you could compare it to Daniel Jones because there is so many plays that like, in my opinion, yeah, you got the holds, but let's just say Baker Mayfield throws it away, or maybe even a receiver drops a pass that Darnay Holmes is covering. It's not on the stat sheet for Holmes, but it's just something in the film room he has to get better.
Yeah, Coughlin forced a fumble on the opening kickoff. He rocked the dude, and it was Belton that picked it up. So my biggest L, whoever, I don't know who caused the penalty that on the one catch that Tony had that was for maybe 20 yards that was going to set us up for another score. Yeah, that was a pretty big L for me. But overall, man, that's a tough one because I can put Darnay in that category because he struggled. Probably Cordell Flott because I wanted to see a lot more out of him. I was excited to see him play. And when I saw they were putting him outside, I was like, it's not going to go over well against DJ Moore, and he got toasted a few times. So probably Cordell Flott.
Cordell Flott for me. He was burnt toast on a number of occasions, and he had to be subbed out of the game. That says it all. So he really struggled on the outside. I really do believe that he's too small to play on the outside. He really is. And I haven't seen anything from him in coverage, which makes me feel overly confident in him either. I'm good to say it's early in his rookie year. He's only played one game, but he's got bust written all over it. I don't like him. I'm saying it right now.
Flott?
Jones is. I know I don't like him at all. Jones is average. I mean, him running adds a nice element we haven't had, but you can draft a higher upside quarterback, 100%. Not one of Taylor unless Jones goes on a bad stretch. Yeah, to be honest, we're on one of the first two games. Jones hasn't done anything horrific. He's been average to slightly below average, I would say, over the two games, but we've won the two games. So
as long as he's not Nathan Peterman and losing us the game, then if that's the case, that warrants Tyrod Taylor to come in.
Yeah.
But let me ask you all a question in terms of the receiving core, because I know I think before I popped in the stream, Donald was talking about how they're putting guys on the field that Daniel Jones has a little bit more chemistry with. Kenny Galladay, I'm not even going to include in this conversation because it's pretty much a moot point. But guys for Kadarius Toney and Darius Slayton, in my opinion, there's two things. Some of it is analytically driven because Joe Shane was talking about how they want to be progressive in terms of analytics and statistics based on, we could talk about, for instance, baseball, and we could, for instance, if a guy's riding the hot hand, Aaron Boone will sit him because of a matchup. I think some way that connects to what they're doing in terms of wide receiver matchups and packages that Brian Dable was talking about. But at the same time, there is just another 50% where I can't even tell. And people were saying, well, Kadarius Toney doesn't know the playbook. How can you speculate that when he could just do a whip route, a slant? If he's not involved this week, I'm not going to be happy because we cannot. If we win 16-19 again, I'll be happy because a win is a win against the freaking Cowboys. But it's not going to be easy. Get Tony involved. Your thoughts?
No, I think you're right because I brought up that earlier and I said maybe it's analytically driven. I was like, even compared to baseball because you don't see a lot of teams do that where if you look at the depth chart going into the season, you would have said Shepard, Galladay, Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Darius Slayton as the four. Yet we haven't seen Slayton at all. Mm-hmm. Toney had a lot more snaps yesterday but wasn't really involved in the offense. And Shepard had a bunch of catches, but for little yards. They didn't use Galladay. But Richie James has been reliable so far. Sure. And they're using him. And I'm thinking they're trying to experiment with different skill sets in this offense. Let's see whose skill set is going to fit our offense. Now, if Richie James' skill set fits your offense, then Kadarius Toney will absolutely fit your offense. You're right. They have to include him more, get him more involved in the passing game. He's not just a running back that can catch the ball. You can't be using him like that. You have to get him involved because we saw what he did to them last year with Mike Glennon throwing him the ball. He was killing them. So get him involved. But when you bring up the chemistry thing, it's even more puzzling why Slayton's not playing. Because if there's anybody that's got chemistry with Daniel Jones, it's Darius Slayton. Yeah.
As John Good points out right here.
Yeah, so that's very puzzling to me. So I'm trying to think, what is Daboll doing? In his press conference after week 1 said we got different packages for different receivers, and people were like, that's just the official political answer. No, maybe he's actually telling you the truth. Look, we're not going to use you just because you're on the depth chart. Your name says this, or you were picked in the first round. We have to use you. No, if Richie James does this every week and he's getting 5 for 50 and he's making the plays that he needs to make, you're going to keep using him. David Sills had a couple of nice grabs yesterday as well. So if it works, they're not going to just shy away from it because your name is Kenny Golladay or your name is Kadarius Toney. They're going to use you how they want to use you, and they're going to experiment to see what is working with this offense so they can progress it in year 2 and year 3 and eventually get back to that being that perennial contender every single year that we once were.
I would like to use Toney more on the outside rather than the slot, and the same with when Wandale eventually comes back. Again, these gadget plays are fine and all that, but we are really struggling in getting breakaway speed on the outside. That's we're not really getting that. We're basically sorted with the slot. We've basically got an entire depth chart of slot receivers that are functional possession receivers, but we're not taking advantage much of Toney and his breakaway speed. I want to use him more than just a gadget guy where he gets a couple of handoffs here and there and kind of a force. He's got that speed, as you saw yesterday with that before that stupid holding. When you get him running, he can make things happen. Get him out, use that breakaway speed. Shepard has been impressive, but again, he's very much a possession guy at this stage. He's not going to beat too many people over the top, but he's such a good route runner that he's going to be fine. But Richie James has been good, but again, you're not going to be expecting massive things from him, but he's definitely been probably most consistent with Shepard. But yeah, I don't totally understand what they're doing. I think there's a good point by John Doe that it probably isn't helping Daniel Jones. But again, Daniel Jones didn't really help himself because there was a number of occasions where there was dudes wide open, but 20 or 30 yards on anybody near him, and Jones couldn't find him, and he was running straight into sacks. So there's an element of two things there, but you'd probably want a little bit more of a consistent depth chart at receiver for Jones to be more comfortable to who he's going to throw to, who he trusts is going to be open. I think that he certainly trusts Shepard and Richie James to this point.
You can't tell me that, in terms of the offensive coordinator, you tell me that Kadarius Toney can't pull a double move. You'd fucking slime a cornerback with that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's such a strange thing, and I do like that he played a lot more snaps. He wasn't involved necessarily, but he was on the field a lot more. So that tells me that he's getting healthier because they said he looked a lot better in practice this week. He was running at full sprint and all that. So we got an extra day to prepare for Monday Night Football. Maybe they'll plan on using him more. Look, he has a success already in one game against Dallas. They can pull up that game tape and say, if a Jason Garrett-led offense allowed you to do that, imagine what we can do with this offense. So I would expect more Kadarius Toney because we're not going to put up a lot of yards and a lot of points without using him because his skill set is legitimately scary good, and they have to use him.
Sorry, Rob. For me, the best play call from Kafka, although it was kind of a middling offensive play calling day, the best play call from Kafka / Dable was the 3 running back set. They handed it off to Brightwell. He broke away. He was in the fullback's position, and he just went and set up the key field goal. That was for me an awesome play call, and that's just what Dable / Kafka can offer. Just an amazing call right out of the blue. None of us were expecting it. None of us were expecting Brightwell to do that, but that was cool. So I have to give props to them for that.
See, that difference between that play call you just mentioned, Donald, and the 2 in the red zone is it's cute, but it works. Like the defense won't expect it, right? Saquon Barkley in the Wildcat. I think Kadarius Toney was on his left, or I think it was Matt Breida even. So it's not like Matt Breida's he's a decent running back, but he's not going to have the breakaway speed. But it was just what pissed me off is that was a pin and pull, right? He got like 2 yards on the play. Then you do the same exact thing with Daniel Jones. You just fake it to Toney. You do the same exact pin and pull, and the defense sniffs it out easily. So you're stuck in the 3rd down. Then Daniel Jones doesn't help himself by not throwing to Shepard. I mean, so as I said, it's a mixture of things between offensive execution and play calling. All are for blame for yesterday, but at the same time, all that stuff is going to have to continue to grow.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I did not like the play calling at all on that second drive because I was saying it earlier. We drove down the field and got inside the 5-yard line, and we were looking good. We hit Sills. We hit, I think Hudson had a catch as well. And I'm like, we're going to get a touchdown here. Okay, it's 10-0 out of the gate. That's beautiful. And then they went backwards. And I'm like, why are you trying to get cute here inside the 5? That's not where you're really supposed to do that. If anything, the Brightwell play could have been used there inside the 5-yard line. I'm glad we got it when we did, but you could have been more traditional offense when you're inside the 5-yard line because teams are going to look for you to try something. Like you see Saquon and Tony, it's like, we're not going to worry about who's outside. We're going to worry about those two because one of them's getting the football. And then, like you said, you tried the same thing again with Daniel Jones. It's like, okay, they're zeroing in on it now. They're kind of expecting it. That's where you got to be a little more traditional. Throw a slant if you have to. Throw a freaking – we know he can't throw the back shoulder fade, but maybe try the fade route if you can get it. Just be traditional when you're inside the 5 because the cute plays don't really work a lot.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're a growing offense and all that stuff. I mean, two things that I dislike in particular. I mean, you bring up a great point about the the stuff at the goal line getting cute. I mean, you could just do play action. Jones has gone to Myrick with the play action. Yeah, screw the phone in the background. I'm going to try to talk over it as best as possible. But anyway, you could just do something simple. Jones is very good with the play action in terms of the goal line. Chris Myrick's gotten a couple of touchdown passes, whatever. And you could, do the rollout to the right and then have somebody leak out of the left side, kind of like the Thomas touchdown, the Myrick touchdown last year. So that's something that could work. Once again, getting too cute. And then, the second thing is this is just NFL wide that coaches do this, and I hate it. I kind of understood why they did it just to get in more field goal range. But the first drive, it was like 3rd and 9, and then they threw to Shepard behind the sticks. I'm like, that's
4-yard gain, right?
Yeah. So
that was a very frustrating play. That was right at the start. I was not impressed by that at all. It was a weird play call. I also thought that Jones kind of stared him down a little bit too much and threw a little too hard to the point where Shepard actually had to stop and make sure he caught it. Little things like that. Not a lot of touch on that because I when I first watched it, I was like, that wasn't good from Jones, and then I had to rewatch it. I was like, yeah, I think he could have maybe put it in a better spot for Shepard to run onto it. But I mean, I know nitpicking a little bit, but these kind of things are when you're in the red zone or in 3rd and longs, these things are very important.
Yeah, it comes up on in the film.
Yeah, like. I've noticed now for the first 2 games is our offense looks very stale early on. We didn't score at all last week, and then this week we got 6 points. But once we're down by a certain amount, the offense just clicked, and that's what happened. We went down 13-6, and the offense just went right back down the field. Like, why can't we do that every time, or at least more times than not? It's like we went right down the field. We're using Saquon. Jones is making good reads. He's making good throws. The play to Bellinger, I know it was a very simple. You move, I think it was James in motion. He went fake that wheel route, and then you just threw it to the flat because they were all focused on Saquon. They're focused on James. He's wide open. Beautiful play call, yeah.
It was a beautiful play call. It really was, and it really well executed from Daniel Jones. Definitely one of his best passes of the day. What's up, Lestat? Thank you so much for the comment. It was middling, but let's focus on Saquon a little bit. Alex, what were your thoughts? Obviously, they stacked the box on him. He had to work for those yardage. What did you think?
I personally think, listen, he played well for the circumstances. I can't really blame him on anything. Maybe one thing I would blame him on is like a little bit in pass protection. That's something he needs to get down a little bit more. Maybe bring in Brader and Antonio Williams for those downs. But I know this isn't necessarily on Saquon, but I just feel like that the offense really didn't have a plan B once they started stacking the box. Like they did and it failed, or they didn't, because was it the first drive for first play running play, second play running play, and it was like 3rd and medium, well, not even 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, and you throw to Shepard. So I'm like, yeah, they either have a plan and it sucked, or they don't have a plan B at all. So, and we're going to be facing a much more aggressive defense a week from now. So I don't know. They have to, and you know what? Also, as well, something that they did well in the second half is, they ran the ball just a little bit better, but something Daryl Johnston talked about on the broadcast is just running downhill. And Saquon, he did that throughout the portion of the game. And sometimes it wouldn't work. Frankie Louvu would get in the backfield, but he started running downhill, just taking what he got. And obviously, he carved out more yardage.
Okay, Rob, what did you think?
I mean, yeah, what Alex just said is spot on. His stat sheet doesn't really pop out at you, of course, compared to last week. I don't think anyone expected him to repeat that. It was very traditional in terms of, we're not going to get a ton of yards, but it worked more in the second half. He ran the ball well. I don't think they used him enough in the first half. I don't remember how many carries exactly that he had in the first half, but I know I think it was below double digits at least. So I thought they could have ran the ball a little bit more. But when they did, 21 carries, 72 yards, he added some yards in the receiving game. He averaged 3.4 per carry. So you want to get him more yards per carry. That can be a lot about the run blocking, but it wasn't the best game, but we have seen worse from our running backs. And even Saquon has been shut down in the past before, a lot worse than this. So we knew the Titans were going to focus on him. They were saying, well, you're going to try to stop McCaffrey to make Baker beat us or beat you. We're going to stop Barkley to make Daniel Jones beat us. And it came down to the kickers, really. Who had the better kicker and who had the better defense? That's really all it was. It was a very similar game for both teams on the offensive side of the ball. So the Panthers executed their game plan. Stop Saquon and make Daniel Jones beat you. And he made one play enough to beat them with his legs, not even his arm.
If that. Yeah. I'm with John Joe here. Those third and longs really stress the O-line. Those are clear passing downs. We know that apart from Thomas and Neal, it's not a premier O-line in terms of pass protection. And also, I think you're maybe being overly harsh on the play calling, because I don't know if they all really trust Daniel Jones. I don't think so. I don't think Daniel Jones has shown them anything for them to trust that in third and long that he's going to make anything special happen, because you've seen it now for 2 straight weeks. He's not really done it apart from a handful of times at the most. I think the play calling is slightly conservative with third and long. There was a couple of occasions, as I mentioned, that Jones ran into sacks where there was dudes wide open. So I think the play calling was better than we give it credit for. Saquon did everything you could possibly do. And the key for Saquon was what Pat Shurmur tried to teach him in his rookie year. Take the dirty yards. Take 2-3 yards at a time. Just keep moving forward. And you'll eventually get your breakaway run. And we've seen it kind of intermittently through Saquon's early part of his career, obviously injuries and stuff, but you're really seeing it now. This is a different Saquon Barkley. He's really happy to take the 3-4 yards, really fight. And because he was getting hit hard and he was really battling. He was really fighting. There was one time where he moved the entire line. Did you see that when he kept his feet moving and he just kept moving back? That was an awesome play. So this is different Saquon Barkley. So I'm really happy with what Saquon gave us, and I was happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I know we're talking about Saquon Barkley, and I agree with all your points. It's kind of a weird conservative, though. I think, now this is, of course, speculation. I think they are being conservative, but I think it's right and wrong for a few reasons. Wrong because this was supposed to be the year you let him air it out and stuff like that. And, he makes risks and he takes risks. I mean, that's kind of what we wanted after the last 2 years of an ultra-conservative offense. But at the same time, I don't think it's the conservativeness, and I don't think it's, afraid of Daniel Jones making mistakes. I think it's the fear of Daniel Jones not reading guys. Well,
again, either way, it all comes down to Daniel Jones. I don't think that Daniel Jones is of the requisite level to do these kind of creative play calling at 3rd and long. That's the thing. If you have a different dude back there, I think if you had like a Josh Allen or even a Kyler Murray, I think it would be a completely different story. It is what it is, but yeah. So I think John Doerr is a good point there. It did stress out the O-line. The O-line did it. It kind of did its best, but it wasn't great. They really struggled, especially in the interior. But on the edge, I thought they did their job, especially Andrew Thomas, who's just on another level now. He's on another level.
Yeah. Going back to, and that's actually a good question. I'm going to take a look in a minute, but to kind of counter, and obviously we're all just speculating here about the conservativeness, is like, okay, well, they're being a little conservative because maybe they don't think Daniel Jones has the ability to convert on 3rd down, but he also did that with Richie James a few times last game and this game. He's kind of been that move the chains receiver or even get close to the sticks receiver. So there's that. I think Sills, one of the big catches he had was on 3rd. So I don't know. I would say put him up to the challenge a little bit more. But to answer his question,
34-33.
Yeah, very, very even. One more pass than they had run.
Yep,
that's good. I like it.
And you know what? We know what's unfortunate though is that it doesn't tell the tale. Maybe, I want to say we had more passing attempts than running, obviously, but also maybe like 1 or 2, or maybe even a few of those Jones carries were on pass attempts.
Right. I think the last play of the game, it looked like they were trying to pass and it broke down. He just was able to get out of it and run for the 1st down, which won us the game. So a lot of those times, I mean, we haven't really seen any designed runs, a couple so far, but at this point last year, we already had maybe like 5 or 6 designed runs for Daniel Jones. It seems like they're not really going to try to make him use his legs too much with this offense. At least enough when he has to. He can make the play. But we saw it last week. I think he had the one on a 4th. What's the 4th down that he ran for? Yeah, the 4th and 1 that he took to the outside. So they're using it when they need to. But with Garrett, we were seeing him really focus on getting Daniel Jones running more so than passing.
Right, because the offense was just inefficient.
So here is Jones' stat line: 22 of 34, 176. He averages 5 yards. 1 TD, 3 sacks, QBR 37, rating 87. Pretty
lackluster, average.
Pretty bad, I would say. But
it is a game manager. Look, that's the best way I can put it. It was a game manager type of game. He made enough plays to help you win. He didn't do anything to make you lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the 5 is. I mean, at one point he was averaging just 3.9. It was the 4th quarter where he started to make a couple more plays happen, and it got up to 5. He really struggled in the first 3 quarters, but he did enough. And certainly, my biggest compliment to him is he's very resilient. You've now seen that on multiple occasions. Now he's very resilient. He's able to shrug off some terrible throws and then make a pinpoint throw right after. He's able to not give up, and he keeps fighting, and that's what you want, man, because it's very easy for a quarterback, especially because I think there was a couple of times where the Giant fans were really booing, especially when he was really struggling for a while. It was really loud in there, and they were not happy with the offensive production. Maybe a lesser personality would have crumbled, but he stood up and he made the plays required. So although I'm kind of down on what he did performance-wise, I'm very high on his resiliency and his makeup. He's got very good makeup for a quarterback.
You know what? I'm going to throw a fun fact at you guys, and I'm going to require you guys to answer a question. So guess what you think his passer rating is? And I'm not going to go into specifics because I just want like a general number. What do you think his passer rating is when the Giants are either tied or they're leading?
Passer rating. So not QBR, it's passer rating.
Yes, and this is this year.
Tied or leading? Good. Very good.
No.
No?
It's got to be like I'm going to say it's like in the 40s or something, right? Like 40.
Not that down. Okay, he's in the 60s.
Okay.
But
Wow.
you're talking about the resiliency, right? What do you think his passer rating is when the Giants are down?
Oh, is that where it is where he's good? I don't know, 80 plus?
I'll let you guys know the number, but I need a guess.
All right, 80 plus.
Rob?
95.
Man, y'all weren't close. 126.
Wow. Okay. I'll take it, Danny. I'll take it. If you're doing
That's
that.
a really good point, man. We'll have to delve into that in our podcast tonight, but that's interesting. So what do you think that says about him?
He's got that dog in him. I don't know. Maybe
he's very good from coming from behind, but at the same time, something in term. And I said this once again on the podcast I was just recorded. It's just feel, and I don't want to say this because it's hard to say for an NFL player, but it's like the urgency, man. It's like it's not there.
That could be the case. Definitely, though, Brian Dable once again. That's 2 halftimes in a row where he's made the necessary adjustments, both offensively and defensively, to win the game. Can't say enough about this coaching staff. If you want the real MVPs, it's actually the coaching staff.
I think
they are having guys play way above their level, way above the sum of their parts in many occasions. There's a lot of dudes that are walk-ons, that are practice squad guys that are having very prominent roles. And a lot of it is to do with the way that Dable and Martindale has them playing.
Yeah, right. I mean, and if you ask me who the coaching MVP was, I would say Martindale by margins.
Oh yeah.
But to go to that point is like you were talking about practice squad guys like Jihad Ward. Outside of the scheme and Don Martindale, he's just another veteran defensive end that hasn't done shit in his career.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Tony Jefferson, past his prime role-playing safety outside of Martindale and his scheme. Dane Belton, just like another 4th-round pick. I mean, we've seen one game of him, but it's definitely a little bit more than what we expected. Nick Williams, veteran defensive tackle, just another toss-up. So
Carter Coughlin,
special teams guy. He forced the fumble. So literally, and I think once again, O'Shane, that's another good
Fox.
Tamon Fox, all these guys. That's the difference when we talk about good coaches and bad coaches. Obviously, a good coach, does everything with the talent that's in front of them in terms of, that's good talent. But what differentiates bad coaching from good coaching is, well, are they aggressive enough? Are they just overall good with the talent they have? And Martindale doesn't have much talent on defense. This should be a low 20s defense right now. It probably would be, to be honest with you, under Patrick Graham. But because he's aggressive and puts his guys in position to succeed, you're looking at a top 15 middle of the pack defense right now. And I think this is, once again, it just sets us it sets this coaching staff in a different position than we've had in the last couple of years.
And just wait till we have our 2 premier edge rushers. We've got Thibodeau and Ojulari due back, hopefully next week. Then you can pair that with Jihad Ward and Zimenez on either side to back them up, or even add an extra pass rusher in certain occasions. They've looked really good in the 3 safety sets. You're going to see more of that. And then when we get Robinson back, then our corner situation is a little better. And before you know it, this defense could look pretty good. I'm excited for this. And as you say, man, this is night and day from the bend but don't break defense, because the thing that Patrick Graham seemed like he really did pretty well over the first 3 quarters of the game. But when it became a time where the opposition had a 2-minute drive, that's when he kind of struggled, because he always just had us play protect and prevent defense. And we just got picked off. We went cover 2 and we just got picked off, touchdown. Do you know what I mean? We just left open holes right in the middle of the field, and then they just went right down the field, no problem. Always at the worst part, always at the key part. But what Martindale's doing different is he's aggressive as shit. He's just like, I am not going to leave them an opportunity to go and just pick us off. I'm going to go right after them. What is their weakness? And we're gonna go after it. So that's the biggest difference for me.
Jalen Smith is a Giant again, apparently.
Really?
I like that, honestly. Is
I
he?
love help.
I'm going to take a look.
Smith.
I'm looking at Twitter right now. Probably going to refresh my page again. How is this happening? Jalen Smith. I got to actually look.
Yeah. Here it is. From
practice squad or regular roster?
Doug Hendrickson. I'm guessing he's the agent. He said, "Let's go get it." Jalen Smith, Giants, best is yet to come. And then Ian Rappaport.
Baby. So do you think he's going to play in the inside?
I think he just wants to play against Dallas. Honestly, he probably just wants. He was pretty good for us last year.
He was. I'm surprised we didn't re-sign him. I'll fucking take him over Kalitro. I mean, Kalitro wasn't bad.
Oh, man, Kalitro got roasted. He only played like 3% of the snaps last week.
But that tells you something, though. And I looked at, and that's what I originally thought, Donald. Is that I looked at snap count, and it's only because they had these 3-4 safety sets. McFadden played this almost the same amount of snaps as he did. Damn, I had a point about Pat. You know what? You were talking about that bend but don't break before Luca brought up Jalen Smith in a Giants blue. You know what was also pissed me off about that is that it took so much time off the clock. We were so down in time of possession. So that's what really ticked me off with that. Now let me ask you guys a question that's not even Giants related. What do you think the record is for the Carolina Panthers under Matt Rule when they give up 17 or more points?
It's got to be pretty bad.
Oh, it is pretty bad.
His record's pretty bad anyway, so when you put him down 17, it's going to be really bad.
Oh, man, I don't know. How many games has he coached at this point?
All right, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. 25 games in this situation.
Okay. I say if it's really, really, I'm going to say maybe like 2-23. Is it that bad?
Donald?
0-25.
1-24.
Donald's got it.
Holy mackerel. Well, that's because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, I mean, he's just terrible.
That's bad. That's like our offense. When we gave up like 15 points or something, 2 touchdowns, they're like, that's it. We can't score. That's brutal.
I can't wait till 8-10 because I'm going to bring up our man Brian Mansell. I'm going to let it rip.
I literally mentioned it when I don't know what I was doing yesterday. I think I mentioned it on my podcast. I'm like, yeah, Brian's been fighting me on this whole Baker Mayfield Matt Rule subject, and now everybody wants him run out of town.
I hate to say I told you so. I don't think Matt Rule is an NFL coach. No. I think he's a good college coach. And we know that what Baker Mayfield is. He's a below average quarterback in this league.
Well, I guess, I'm going to use a Donald term here. Brian couldn't see the wood from the trees.
Oh, we need to add that to our list at 8-10.
Well, on that note, I think it's going to wrap it up for us here at NerdingOutSports. Thank you to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, great chat today.
Luca.
Let's do it.
Well, I know I missed somebody that popped in. I know it was Lestat who said "you're." So a big year back to you. Lucas said,
John Doe, thank you so much, man. Like and subscribe to our show. Click on the little notification bell so whenever we do a podcast, check it out.
Yes, through that. I want to thank Alex again for coming on. It's always good talking with you. And make sure you guys watch on his channel because I'm sure you're already subscribed to him because 8-10 p.m. Boys in the Big Apple back Monday night live with Donald, Alex, and Luca. And I'm sure you're going to bring the heat on Brian because his boy lost again. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you all next time to preview the Dallas game. Let's go, Giants. Peace out.
Let's go, Blue. 2-0.